and smearing all the chumps across the walls of the local clubs. Fueled by feminism and hard drugs. I'd like to talk politics, I'd like to strike fear in all of the oppressed men that had stand in my way. I'm not your plaything, I'm a motherfucking queen, because who needs a king? Wish it was a right girl, feminazi punk, not your average ordinary day job girl. I won't take your abuse, quit acting like a bitch and making up excuses, girl. Hanging with Bikini Kill, female empowerment fills up the room I'm in. A never-ending movement, all of these things make me wish I was a riot girl. Wish it was a riot girl, that'd be cool. Taking what you know and breaking all the rules. Screaming in your face till your ears get tender. Teaching you a thing about race and gender. I'd like to kick your ass, yeah that sounds fair. Hiding my brutality behind dyed hair. Men with guitars, they don't know shit. And if they wanna talk shit, they can meet me in the pit. Girl, hanging with Brad Mobile. If I can't hit those high notes, I'll just squeal. I'm into the crowd, it's where I belong. Undercover feminine punk rock called Riot Girl. Riot Girl.
Welcome to Northeastern University's production of Sensitive Guys by MJ Kaufman. We're so glad you're here for this live performance. Photography or recordings of any kind are not allowed during the show, but we encourage you all to make use of the live chat and comments as a way to stay connected through this live experience. There is no intermission, so please grab some snacks and use the restroom facilities now. Not that we don't want to be in the bathroom with you, but we ask that you respect the show, the material, and the time invested to put on this live production. In the unlikely event of an emergency or technical difficulty, we'll work to have the feed back up and running in a timely manner. This is live theater, anything can happen. Please note that this play focuses on rape, sexual assault, sexual coercion, and rape culture. A member from the Sexual Assault Response Coalition, a student-led group at Northeastern University, will be available during the performance, and our chat moderator will be happy to connect you with any further questions, concerns, or advice. Please note they are not licensed therapists, but can help direct you to some helpful resources. Further links and resources can be found in the description on this page or on the Department of Theater's website. Lastly, thank you all for coming and engaging in yet another Zoom event. And now, welcome to Watson College.
This is James Watson, founder of our college, military man. Grew up fighting in the Union Army, Battle of Gettysburg. A courageous fellow, he stayed in the fight even when it wasn't easy. He wrote letters home to his dear wife, Mary, about how much he dreamed of founding a college for her to teach in. Mary was a history teacher who taught in one-room schoolhouses full of illiterate children covered by snow. Her dream was to start a college where the children could learn in peace, unhampered by the difficulties of rural life. And so, James suffered through the long war. And all the while, he wrote letters home to Mary. And when he finally got home, he used everything he had to found a college for her to teach in right here. I'm sure it's clear to you that this is no ordinary school. Watson is unparalleled. This is a place where people take action. This is a place where dreams are realized, just as James Watson realized Mary's dream. I invite you to realize your dreams at Watson College.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for coming to our presentation.
Thanks so much.
And welcome.
Yes, indeedy.
Are you going to do it like that?
I'm not going to do it like that.
Good.
So,
We are SEX.
Sex?
SEX. Students empowered to confront and transform sexism.
When did we come up with that?
I came up with it. Clever, right?
I was happy with Student Coalition to confront sexual assault.
That had like zero acronym potential. I mean, SCCSA.
But calling ourselves sex feels a little...
Keep going.
great. So, we are Survivor Support Group, and we work with the Men's Peer Education Group on 3 things.
And then you'll say,
And then I'll say, confronting, preventing, and eradicating sexual assault on Watson's campus and beyond.
Within the next 5 years.
let's not share that part publicly.
And don't you think it'll sound a little cocky?
Essentially unrealistic.
We're not superheroes, not yet.
We're actually making a plan to do that.
But we want them to take us seriously.
Let's just practice the part about transformative justice. It's really good, and you guys haven't gotten to see it yet.
Sure. So, we use a transformative justice framework, which means we believe that in order to eradicate sexual assault, we are going to have to transform society. Our current system, aka the criminal justice system, aka
The no justice ever systems.
Amy. Sorry. That system views perpetrators of sexual assault as criminals. Scary. And responds to acts of sexual violence by punishing the perpetrator and removing them from society.
You, sir, have been convicted of rape, and we're gonna throw you in prison for a long, long time.
Oh my
We
God.
found this response to be insufficient because punishment and isolation so far has failed to end sexual assault.
Another day, another rapist in jail.
And also because removing the perpetrators means they can go on to commit sexual assault elsewhere.
Sir, you gotta cut that out. No rape allowed in prison either.
Okay, no.
Just let them.
It doesn't address what we have come to believe are the root causes of sexual violence, which is just mostly the big bad
patriarchy.
The policeman character is offensive.
It's funny.
in the end.
Police and prisons are real things in people's lives. It's a fucked system. We shouldn't laugh at it.
Our presentation makes you want to jump off a building.
We just need to practice more and get better at not interrupting each other.
I'm concerned about how long it's taking us to get to the meat of the thing.
Oh, I hate it when you use that metaphor. Meat.
A spoonful of sugar.
I think we have the perfect mix of humor and real talk.
People need to be able to take the raw truth of what we're doing.
Just wonder how effective that is. You know, as a
Do you know how many members the Environmental Student Action Group has? Or the Women's History Month Coalition? Oh my god, the students confronting and resisting corporations, they're so big now they're meeting in Southview.
Seriously, Southview?
What we do isn't glamorous. It's not for everyone. You have to actually believe in shit to show up to our meetings. We're not just like some resume booster for the wannabe nonprofit executives.
Yeah, but we want people to actually show up.
Well, that's what this presentation is for if we ever finish it.
I thought it was for the administration. Like if we don't do it, they're gonna take away our group status or something.
Well, yeah, it's dual purpose.
What do you mean take away our group status?
They said that in order to keep getting funding and reserving a room and all that, we're going to have to make a presentation for prospective students weekend.
Something about giving back to the community.
Seriously? Just us or other groups too?
Us.
They don't really believe we're doing anything, maybe.
I thought this was just to get new members.
I mean, it would be great if new people joined because of it.
Maybe you could write a song for it. You know, that'd be a nice change of pace.
I mean, I love Di's music, but it's not exactly like what we're.
Yeah.
I only write Riot Girl angry feminist songs. You know that.
One kind of quiet, sweet one.
About all the men in the world dying.
Again, I love your work, Di. I just don't think it's right for it.
I'm not really willing to dumb down my voice for this.
Okay, yeah. Bad idea. Sorry.
Shit, I was supposed to be at my work study job like 10 minutes ago.
I thought you never got penalized for being late.
Yeah, but I can't be like late. I don't know, 15 minutes?
Okay, it sounds like our meeting's over.
That's what it sounds like. I guess we'll come back to this.
Our presentation's in 3 weeks.
I think we're gonna do great. What? Oh, I know we are. Come on. Oh, we always. Yes, today too. 3, 2, 1. Justice.
One at a time. That's important.
We're demonstrating right now.
Sort of.
We speak from I, so if you find yourself about to say something that starts with the words all men, try to refrain and speak from I.
Step forward, step back.
Move.
That's right. Move forward, move back. Step is ableist because not everyone steps. Anyways, it means that if you're the kind of person that's usually first to answer a question, you're supposed to hang back and let other people talk. And if you're the kind of person that's usually afraid to talk in public, you should take a chance and talk first.
Confidentiality. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. What's said here stays here. What's learned here leaves here. Cute, right?
If someone says something mind-blowing, by all means, take the idea with you. Just avoid being like Pete from my Unlearning Male Privilege group said this, because that would give away the Pete's in the group, and Pete might not want that.
We're not called that anymore. Now it's Men's Peer Education Group.
Much like our identities, our group name is a constant work in progress.
And I don't know if we've said it officially, but welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Glad to have you.
Maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself.
To really get into it, tell us how you got here and all that.
I'm William Donald Warner III.
That's a lot of name, man.
What dorm are you in?
I actually don't live on campus. I live with my grandmother on Green Street.
Cool. That's great, man.
I like soccer. I want to be an engineer.
Tell us more about what brought you to this group.
My grandmother, she wanted me to be better. I took Introduction to Feminism last semester, her idea.
How'd you like it?
To be honest, I just did it to meet girls, but then I really liked the class. There was a lot of talking and sharing, and that never happens in my other classes. I wanted to take another women's studies course this semester, but it didn't fit in my schedule, so I'm doing this instead.
Nice.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Welcome, man.
Very happy to have you.
You ready to take it away, Jordan?
For sure. So, you're at a party. It's late at night. You see a drunk boy slip something into a drunk girl's drink. That'd be woman. Drunk woman. What do? Remember, the goal is to keep her from leaving with him.
Do you know the woman?
Let's say no.
Like, don't even know her name.
Let's say you know her a little bit. You've seen her around, you know her name. You have a class with her or something.
That's more than a little bit.
Well, that's how much you know her.
You could know her a lot from just one class.
Well, you don't. It's a big class, Econ 1, let's say.
I got this.
Yeah, Pete.
What you got?
All right. So you grab the guy by the shoulders, football bro style, and are like, hey, dude, I got some sweet weed from a buddy with a hookup. Come smoke a quick spliff with me. And then your other pal comes along, giving the girls a little heads up, telling her not to consume said drink.
My only question is, what if this guy puts up a fight?
Well, then you back off.
What happens to the woman if he puts up a fight?
I don't know. You find another way to tell her.
And what's that other way?
I don't know. Make it up. I already made one up.
Well, what does she expect, hanging out with douchebags like that in the first place?
No, man.
We don't do that.
Don't do what?
You just did.
What did I just do?
It's called victim blaming.
It's never their fault.
Except when it is.
It never is.
Hanging out with certain people, that's just asking for it.
Real man.
I'm so glad that you're here with us.
Me too.
What's going on?
Play it out this way. If you were walking down the street, someone shot you. Would it be your fault for walking in the wrong place, or wearing the wrong clothes, or having the wrong hairstyle?
I mean, it depends where I was walking. I mean, if it was up in North Side, then I'm probably just asking for it. It's sketchy as hell up there.
You mean Black people live there?
I mean, there's definitely more crime up there.
Okay, so this is the thing. It doesn't depend on anything. No matter how a victim is behaving, they don't deserve abuse. No matter where anyone lives or what they look like, they don't deserve harm. No one deserves abuse or violence. The one responsible is the one who perpetrated harm.
And aren't we supposed to say survivor?
I mean, if it's between a victim and a perpetrator, person who perpetrated.
Victims and perpetrators.
That's not what we're talking about right now.
It's not uncommon, especially in jails. People sometimes are victims and perpetrators. Cycles of violence.
Guys. Women should be able to act and behave and dress however they like without being abused for it. That's all we're trying to say.
That one might take some time to absorb.
Yeah, it's a great conversation.
Ah, thanks, Will, for bringing it up.
So glad you're with us.
What's like the trick to being a good guy?
That's a good question, Will.
The quintessential question, to be exact.
So glad we can have these conversations.
Man.
No, but really, how do you do it? How do you become a good man?
What you'll find if you continue to return to meetings is that this stuff is not fast food.
Everyone's gonna have their own process for unlearning.
You say that, man. This shit's hardwired.
No one's denying that it's a long road. But look how far you've come in just a short time, man.
Really think so?
100%. Like what happened the other day when we were chilling?
When exactly were you chilling?
I don't know. We were like chilling. The other day?
What day?
Tuesday, I think. Was it Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Well, what happened?
Well, we're just hanging out with some girls.
Women.
Women. We're hanging out with some women. And basically we're just talking and eating pizza and shit.
What women?
Tracy and Katie.
Confidentiality.
Too late. Sorry, man. Anyway, so Tracy was going on a whole angry feminist rant like she does. And then what?
Yeah, watch how
Oh,
you
guys.
Yeah, you shouldn't be calling anyone an angry feminist.
Okay, but that's what she calls herself.
It's different when you say it.
I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing.
Whatever. Never mind. It's like a stereotype about Black women. They're angry all the time.
I respect your girlfriend, man.
We're not dating.
Maybe you should just finish the story.
Sure. Okay. So basically what happened was I didn't interrupt her.
It was a bigger deal than that.
It was like that thing we always talk about, raising your voice to take over a room.
That's the thing we talk about. How men command power in a room.
It was textbook. Here's Tracy mid-feminist rant, and Pete looks up and says something like, "No way." And then there's like,
How the fuck no is what I said. She was talking about, don't think I can bring it up here, what she was talking about.
That's good confidentiality, man.
No, it's not because of confidentiality. It was because it was gross as hell.
to you.
Do you do, men? Don't lie.
What was she talking about?
It's a little hard to describe.
It's like this. When girls get their period, women. When women get their periods, there are some women that don't put anything up there. They just, what you call it?
Free bleeding.
That. Really didn't want to say that. But they do that all over their clothes and everything and everyone else. It's supposed to be empowering?
Wow.
Yeah, that was exactly my reaction. Or actually, my exact reaction was, hell the fuck no.
He shouted it across the room.
I did.
It was like everything we talk about in here. All eyes on him. Everyone's like waiting for him to launch into something. I mean, Tracy was mid-sentence, but you could just tell that everyone was going to listen to him. But he didn't continue.
How about I say what I didn't do?
Sure.
I said, excuse me, please continue.
Damn.
He did.
And people listen to her?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, that's awesome. You're using what you practice in here. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, way to integrate.
Should we finish off on that note?
Sounds about right.
Will, just do what we do.
We vow to confront the barbarism of human beings.
We vow to challenge oppression in all its forms.
Transform ourselves. And in doing so, transform
Transform the world.
can't focus in class.
Okay. What class?
American history, 19th century focus.
Amazing era. Really changed my life when I studied the history of our country. Who's your professor?
Anderson.
One of our finest. Don't you just love her?
Actually, I really
Oh, and she got that teaching award 3 years in a row. Did you read her new book that just came out?
yeah, it's actually
What was it? The Man and the Ass, or The Ass and the Man?
the man, the ass, and the machine.
About the Industrial Revolution, agriculture.
Yeah, I wrote a paper on it in high school. She was actually one of the reasons I chose Watson.
Isn't that incredible? What you kids are getting here is an absolutely first-class education. Isn't it wonderful that you get to spend, how many hours a week is it? 2, 3?
2.5.
With one of the world's leading scholars in American history. Isn't that phenomenal?
Yes, it is, but I'm actually coming to you because I can't focus in class.
Right. I'm so glad you came to me. Why is that?
Well, because of this boy, this other student.
Okay, yes, tell me.
We had a thing, something happened with us, and it's hard for me to see him in class. Hard for me to focus.
Could you tell me more specifically?
Like my hands start shaking when I see him, and sometimes I start to cry, and
Sounds really rough. Could you tell me more about what happened with this boy?
it was like he did something. We were together alone, and he we were it was supposed to be it was supposed to be something different. It was too much.
I see. I have to stop you now. I have to tell you that I am a mandatory reporter. If you tell me that someone hurt or assaulted you, I am required to report it, or I could lose my job. I have to let you know that before you tell me anything else. I am not sure if you want this reported.
I don't. I just don't want to see him in class.
I see. So this was a problem for you.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I could certainly switch you out.
Oh, no. I mean, I want to keep the class. It's, actually, well, I was actually wondering if we could switch him out.
I see. It's not particularly appropriate to switch out a student for no reason.
Well, like, don't really want to, like, discuss it with him. I don't really want to ever, like, see him again.
This incident seems to have caused a great deal of stress.
Yeah, my semester really fell apart since.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Have you visited the counseling center?
No, I'm not looking for that right now.
Okay. I also wonder if you might consider taking some time off.
From school?
It seems like you're having a really hard time here.
Well, I mean, I can keep it together.
We want you to excel here, to really do your best.
Well, I don't know if I can take time off. I want to graduate with my class.
Well, that's something for you to think about.
I'm just wondering about, because, you know, what he did to me, it wasn't like, it really, I was wondering about him getting kicked out of the class, not me. And like, I came here to study with Anderson. I came here to take her class, so I don't really want to drop out of it, and I don't want to do poorly in it.
Okay, this has really been an ordeal, hasn't it? I can really understand not wanting to miss a semester or class you really care about. I will say that having seen other students in a similar state of turmoil, taking some time off is actually quite important. You can't really do your best right now. You need to rest, to really sit with what happened, to heal, to think through everyone's role in everything. Seems to me like it's still a little unclear to you what exactly happened.
No, I don't think I'm clear. I just, it's hard to talk about. Assault is hard to talk about.
Okay. So a few minutes ago when you were talking about it, you seemed a little more confused. You didn't use that word.
Okay. I don't remember exactly what I said. I just know that what he did to me wasn't okay.
These are serious words you're throwing around here, and they need to be considered with care. If you want to file a complaint against a student, you need to really be sure about what we're talking about. You need to really have your story straight. So I need you to take some time. Think through what happened and think through whether or not you actually need to do anything about it. Again, I'll say, a semester off has been very transformative for other students. I want you to succeed here at Watson. So you need to give yourself the time and space to recover.
He was on the edge of his seat. He was so uncomfortable. He shouted, "Hell the fuck no," and then realized what he'd done and tried to like swallow whatever it was that wanted to come spilling out. It was so awkward. Like you could kind of see him writhing with pain.
I mean, he was pretty uncomfortable.
And not talking makes men so uncomfortable.
I wish he had talked. I honestly wish he had voiced whatever idiotic ideas he'd come up with about free bleeding, especially because I would not have let him take the power, obvi.
Funny how they think they have all the power.
They do not think that they have all the power.
That is legit what they talk about at their meetings. They think they have all the power in every room, and whenever they open their mouths, everyone must just want to listen to them.
And every moment that they see two women is worth extensive pats on the back.
Do you say these things around your boyfriend?
Love isn't like that.
It's like what?
Beyond criticism.
Jordan's great, but he's working on his shit the same as anyone else.
Jordan is exceptional. Real exceptional as far as men go, but he is a man. And he's never going to get over being a man. It's like being a dog. A dog can be incredible. A dog can be special, can literally save your life, but it will never be able to do the things that humans can do because it's not a human, it's a dog.
Wow, Di.
That you don't share that metaphor with Jordan.
I don't want to be difficult, but like, okay, if a dog can never stop being a dog, if a man can never stop being a man, isn't the whole thing we're doing here called transformative? Transformative justice, that's like the deal, right? We transform ourselves to transform society.
I'm not saying they can't change.
That's sort of exactly what you just said.
Guys, maybe we should practice representation 2 weeks away.
Good point. Who wants to start us off?
Is this a survivor support group?
Yes.
Welcome.
Is it a open hour, like for new members?
Absolutely. We were just taking care of some core group business while we waited for new members to arrive.
It comes to open hour.
Sometimes people come.
No one's come.
Maybe we should orient our new member.
Orient how?
Well, we're Survivor Support Group. I'm Tracy, co-president.
Diana, other co-president.
Katie, vice president.
Amy, secretary.
Leslie.
Should we go over our approach, survivor-centered?
I think that's a great idea. We haven't gone over that in a while.
We go over that every meeting.
We use a survivor-centered approach, which means that we support survivors no matter what. That's like the whole purpose of our group. So in the aftermath of an assault, we do whatever the survivor wants. If they want to report it to campus police, we do. If they want to report it to police, we do. If they want to file a lawsuit, we do it. If they want to have a touchy-feely mediation meeting with the abuser, we do it. You can tell how I feel about those.
Di?
Some people like that.
Anyways, we're so happy that you're here.
Any questions?
What I tell you what happens to it.
It gets recorded.
We like to have a record of every incident.
Depending on what you want, we can report it. Survivor-centered.
Okay. Okay, just like that?
Just like what?
I tell you what happened?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Do you need something first? Water.
No, I'm cool.
We were being kind of aggressive. We can be more caring.
No, I don't need that.
You can have whatever you need.
Are you all man-hating lesbians on the inside?
We're not lesbians.
Sometimes I think I'm bisexual.
That's not the same. That's not the same thing as lesbian. No one here is a lesbian.
We're not anti-lesbian, for God's sakes.
It would be cool if you were. Man-haters, I mean, I am.
Awesome.
Look, maybe my story about free bleeding got us off on the wrong note. You can share as much as you feel comfortable. No pressure.
Okay. He said he wanted to feel small. I don't want to give details. How do I explain? I'm good at being in charge of sex. I take control. I boss guys around consensually. I spent a lot of time figuring out how to own that and do it well. Usually they like it, but this time I don't know how it happened. I wasn't in control anymore. He went too far and he hurt me and threatened me and got really aggressive.
I'm so sorry.
That's really fucked.
That I don't want to say anymore.
That's totally fine.
No one has to say any more than they want to.
Well, I mean, if you want to press charges, you do.
I don't.
Do you want to have any other kind of response?
Like what?
Well, there's options.
Sure, sometimes we have a sort of a process.
It doesn't have to be whatever Diana said. It's always survivor specific. Might involve us like reaching out to the guy.
Rapist.
Perpetrator.
Who perpetrated?
Yeah, and like working with him.
Or her.
Or them.
To really own what they did. Take responsibility.
Accountability.
And then we might suggest next steps.
Like what?
Like that he joined the men's peer education group.
That's a group that we work in partnership with.
It's like a space for men to confront all the shit they've internalized about taking up space and abusing women.
What Di means is it's a place for men to educate each other about male privilege and how to ask for consent.
I know what it is. He's in it.
Wait.
Seriously?
Who is it?
She doesn't have to.
Not gonna.
Not that many people in it.
We like know them all.
I'm not a free bleeder.
Totally okay if you were.
I'm just interested in the movement as a future OBGYN.
He shouldn't have been like that.
Oh, you don't have to apologize for him.
He totally missed how he was interrupting and talking like an expert. I mean, he's never menstruated. You know what I'm saying? He meant well, but God.
You are not responsible for the entire patriarchy.
Okay, sure, but... Oh, and I'm sorry about when Adam tried to touch your hair without asking.
cool.
I talked to him afterwards. I told him about entitlement to women's bodies, zodification of Black women, and colonization generally. He was really defensive, but I think I got in there.
Cool. Did you find out about
I just want to
Saturday night?
my mom. She totally means well. She's just a middle-aged white Jewish lady. So when she says I've worked with lots of Black people and I don't see them as any different, she's just trying to be nice. You know, she doesn't have any context for how fucked that is, but I'm gonna break it down for her next time we talk on the phone.
It's fine. It's really fine.
It was awesome for her to meet you. She really loved it. She's totally psyched you're coming home with me for Passover.
I am too.
You're gonna meet my whole.
Wow.
Damn, my muscles are sore. Film thesis is essentially a gym membership. Just tell that
Did you find out about your shoot Saturday night?
to go. It's the only time I could get permission to be on the football field for 4 hours straight, and I'm up against a deadline. I really need that final scene to be in a recognizable stronghold of masculinity. We scouted the soccer fields, but it just wasn't the same. Even the tennis courts felt a little wussy. This film is about really undoing entitlement, so it has to be football.
I know what your thesis is about.
I wish I could be with you that night.
Yeah, I have been kind of eating and breathing MCAT for the last year, so I did hope you would be there with me when I finish the big monster. It's cool. I know your thesis is important. You did kind of flinch earlier when we were talking about it, about free bleeding.
Me, flinch about free bleeding.
Don't try to deny it.
Well, maybe I hadn't thought about it before.
So you did flinch.
I don't know, maybe. But I'm over it now. Free bleed away.
Are you into rough sex?
What?
Like sex where you beat each other up and stuff, consensually?
Like BDSM and domination stuff? Is that something you want to try?
No, I was just wondering if you were into it.
I mean, I could be into it. I would just need to learn a little bit more about it.
Have you ever done it before?
No. I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Do you know if any of the other guys in your group have tried it?
No, we don't really talk about stuff like that.
Do you guys still do that thing where you like get stuff off your chest?
Like our whole group, you know? Guys getting stuff off of their chests.
What kind of stuff do the guys say?
All sorts of stuff.
Like what?
Everything you can imagine.
Okay, what do you do when someone confesses really terrible stuff?
Try to learn from it. Talk about how it could have gone differently. Try to be prepared for the next time.
Why don't you report it?
Nobody's ever done anything that was that terrible.
He said all kinds of stuff.
Not like worth reporting kind of stuff.
What would that be?
I mean, you know.
So, no one in your group has ever assaulted someone.
I didn't say that.
Then why don't you report the things?
Those things, they typically happen before they join the group.
How do you know that when they confess it? How do you know it didn't just happen last week?
Well, I think they would say.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. Why are you being like this?
If someone in your group did something, like assaulted someone, and confessed it in a meeting tomorrow, would you tell me?
I mean, I would probably have to respect confidentiality.
Would you report it?
Probably.
But you didn't report the others.
What others?
Did You said people did terrible things.
Did something happen? Did you hear something?
I want to know what you would do.
You're being a little
What?
lame.
This is not how I thought this would go.
How did you think it would go?
I don't know. I didn't think you would be defensive.
Be honest.
Sometimes you have a hard time receiving criticism.
Not doing it in a very nice way. You should try using I statements in a friendlier tone of voice. It's the best way to get people to really listen. There have been studies about stuff like this, you know? When you get aggressive, people don't have a chance to really learn. Hey, you still coming over?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
I think I need some time alone.
Oh, okay. You want to hang out later then?
I don't know. I think I might need some space.
Space.
Like a break.
Okay. Okay, you know, I'm like one of the better boyfriends you could find out there, right? I'm working on my shit.
I thought we weren't using boyfriend and girlfriend yet.
What am I supposed to say?
We only started seeing each other a couple of months ago.
Eons in college time.
Well, I guess I moved slower than college time.
I can slow down.
I'm not asking for a slowdown. I'm asking for a break.
What do you want me to do differently?
Jordan, please.
You like my mom. No, what am I supposed to tell my mom?
That we're taking a break.
Like, love. She said she thinks that you're the one.
Okay, I don't actually know what you should tell your mom.
You're supposed to come home with me for Passover next week. And like, my film friends, I mean, they thought that I was going to bring you with me to my thesis screening. Can we get back together by then?
Maybe we'll talk in a few weeks.
Screening, you know, even if we're technically on a break.
I don't know.
Friends. Clearly.
I really can't say right now.
You don't even want to be my friend. You know, after getting to know me.
I think a lot will make sense after we take some space.
This is even real for you.
I am not going to protect your feelings. My God.
I watched get struck by lightning, struck. You've been out driving me into your dick, guiding me. Boy, girl, revolutionaries, you and me. That's what you told me. So show me. I run you over. Watch me. When you say it is us two. True, you taught me how to shoot. And best pull up my skirt and put up with hurt. Oh, girl, revolutionaries, you lie to me. You lie to me.
Interrupting.
Using statistics to make a point.
Telling a girl or woman to calm down.
Putting your hands on girls without asking.
asking a girl or woman to smile on the street.
Slapping a girl's ass. Convincing her to have sex with you because you bought her a drink. Y'all are liars.
Everybody self-reports.
Ending sex after I came, whether or not she did.
Having sex with her after she said she didn't want to.
I'm so glad you're here with us, Pete.
Me too.
Are we all rapists?
Well, yes. We all did just admit to having participated in non-consensual sexual relations.
I wasn't talking about forcing a girl. I was talking about like she said no and then like I convinced her.
Not all rape looks like how it does on the news.
There's a spectrum of behavior.
That's why we talk about rape culture. Am I right, guys? Am I right?
Well, what we want to promote is a culture of consent, which is about hearing someone. I mean, really hearing them, taking cues not just from what they say, but from how they act and behave. Yeah, is that clear to everyone? All right, cool.
So the next thing we got to talk about is Jones.
Oh man, Jones.
Love Jones.
Jones.
Faculty advisor, grand midwife to men's peer education.
Midwife? That's weird, man. Nuh-uh.
Doula, my sister's a doula.
No, stop.
Maybe you're just being anti-woman.
Oh, maybe. I don't think this thing's a baby.
Anyway, Jones is writing an article about our group. It's part of his tenure portfolio. He's citing being our faculty advisor is a pretty central part of his tenure case. So he's going to be interviewing us, starting with the founders and then moving on to newer members. Their consent forms are in your email. Think about it and get back to me next week.
I wish it was my dad.
That's weird, man.
No, it's not. I mean, I love my dad, but he's just so loud, always yelling at my mom and like never got to have an important job like all of your dads. So he never got that, I don't know, confidence. Just worked outside all day with power tools and people bossing him, and that got to him. But imagine a dad like Jones, so quiet and smart and everything, so confident and careful and thoughtful about how to be around women and stuff. Then we'd all be different. We wouldn't even have to be here.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I mean, my dad was pretty quiet.
Same.
And sure, he had all kinds of power, big fancy company president and all, but he still did messed up shit. Still talked over my mom and sister and interrupted. I'm still trying hard not to become him.
That's deep, man. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
And come on, Jones isn't our dad. He's our Jones.
Hey guys, I want to tell you guys something.
Bring it on, man.
Okay, so I had a dream last night, a real good one. In the dream, this stuff was staining my pants. It's hard to explain. I looked down and my crotch was all red, and I thought, geez, what's going on? And it was spreading quickly, and then I realized this was my period, and I was free bleeding. That thing we were talking about yesterday, it was happening to me. It was terrifying. I woke up screaming.
Whoa, man.
What a dream.
What do you think it means?
I'm afraid of women. Their power, you all know what I'm talking about. Their dark, mysterious power, that thing they have, it makes you want to impress them. Sometimes I think they're a different species than us.
I've thought that before too, man.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying I've thought it before. You probably have too, right, Jordan?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay, he won't say, but he has.
Not what I said.
You like to pretend you're so much better, but you're no better than any of us.
Hey, man.
We do not compare ourselves in here.
Oh, I'm not comparing. I'm just saying we're all the same.
That's exactly what comparing is.
Did you know your cat would kill you if it could?
I don't have a cat.
All cats would kill their owners if they could.
What does this have to do with anything?
They could.
If the circumstances were right, if the owners didn't fight back.
How does anyone know that?
They've done studies.
Who are they?
What makes them think all cats are the same?
That's just what studies have shown.
Okay, I have a scenario. Scenario time. Say it's time for a scenario.
It's really time for a scenario.
Okay. So, you're on a date with your girlfriend. Let's say you love her. They've been going out for a few months. Let's say that just last week, you and her went to dinner with your mother, and your mother said, I can tell she's the one. And like called all your aunts and uncles and grandparents and told them that you had met the one. And then let's say she stops trusting you. You can't pinpoint it on any one thing you said or did. She just stops trusting you. She doesn't believe you anymore. She doesn't think you're good. To her, you're just a man. An ugly, stupid, useless, no good white man. You'll never unlearn dominance. You'll never stop talking with too much authority or taking up too much space. You're just a man, and that means you're a lesser being. And she's probably going to go become like a lesbian or something. What do you do then?
Is this hypothetical?
It's a scenario.
It's a new kind of scenario.
Come on, man, do the thing.
Most of our scenarios have to do with how to prevent sexual assault.
It matters in relationships too. You know, most sexual assault occurs between intimate partners.
Yep, true story.
But that's just not the focus of our group.
Everything is the focus of our group.
You could apologize
That's a great start.
for how you behaved.
You didn't do just one thing. That was a part of the scenario.
Well, there must have been something.
There wasn't.
Did you ask her?
It's hypothetical.
She's not getting mad at you. She's getting mad at the idea of you. The idea of how horrible men can be. She's blind to the fact that you're one of the good ones, and it's what the fuck, man?
Ableist language. Blind to.
What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. What are you trying to say?
That she was fucking blind to it.
Blind people aren't oblivious to everything in the world.
I'm trying to say that she literally didn't see me or all the hard fucking work that I was putting into being with her, like skipping film shoots to go to meetings and reading feminism books instead of watching movies. Yeah, it was fucking hundreds of hours that I put into this whole gig. It doesn't come easy to be a sensitive guy. You gotta earn that shit, and I did. And she didn't see that, and there's no other word for that other than blind. That's what blind means. You know, it means you don't see, and she didn't see.
Oh, man.
That blows, man.
Thing you've been through.
Yeah, breakups are the worst.
I am so sorry. I really am.
Was it last night?
Just a scenario.
Okay, so the blind thing is like,
Fucking correct my language.
I thought you said it was a long road.
What are you fucking talking about?
Hey, man, don't get like that.
Well, let's be cool.
You're all gonna jump on me now?
no, we're just trying to enforce respect.
You said that last time. It's a long road to getting over male privilege.
That's not all what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is scared, blind, pissy little girls who are too wimpy to handle the greater world and everything in it, which includes bad guys. It includes good guys and includes sensitive guys. And sometimes the bad ones remind you of the good ones. You gotta fucking get over that, because you can't spend your whole life cutting out half the species. You just can't.
Less than half. Well, men are actually a little bit less than half.
What the fuck, man?
They are.
Wait, it seems like you're dealing with a lot of stuff today. Like, maybe you need to step back and take a break.
I'll decide when I need to take a break.
Maybe we should end the meeting for the day.
Sounds like a good call.
Are we gonna do the
It's
cheer?
not this time.
See y'all next week. Jordan, hope you work it out with her, man.
See ya, guys. Okay, whatever.
What the?
Jordan, man.
Keep said sex without consent, and we all stepped forward.
Well, sure.
We're not gonna report any of those rapes. We're not even gonna ask about them.
We step forward because we're trying to be better. And we need to acknowledge how we've messed up until now.
Up until when? Up until last night? Were we stepping forward because we raped a girl 2 years ago or because we raped her an hour ago?
I can tell this breakup with Tracy really did a number on you. I mean, I remember when Teresa and I split, it was like...
Frat houses of the football team? Getting together after practice being like, did you get some this weekend? Huh? Oh, great. And as soon as you deal with your guilt about it, you can go out there and do it again.
No, we don't congratulate each other.
Someone here fucked up. And I lost the best girl.
What do you mean someone fucked up?
Tracy is really
fucked up.
I'm so sorry.
We're all lying about it. Everything about this group is
Well, we're not all lying.
bad.
I'm going to ask you to take some time. Don't you think that's best, Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're bringing some real critiques, man. I think we should talk about them, but constructively, when you're ready for that.
You hear what we're saying, man? It's for your own sake. You take a break, you get yourself together, and you decide when it's time to come back.
Creative writing class?
My story's that bad, huh?
No, I was just like trying to get to know you.
I'm a senior concentrator. My thesis is a novel. Marcus is my advisor, which is probably why I don't talk that much in class. I've had her workshop twice now, so I like to give new peeps a chance. And I think why she probably matched us up for critique. She likes to match people up with different levels of experience, specific pedagogy thing.
What's it about?
My thesis, 3 generations of a family, Black family moving from a rural landscape to suburban.
Autobiographical?
Man, just because I'm Black doesn't mean everything I read about Black people is autobiographical.
Sorry.
I mean, is everything in your story true? Are you running a dominatrix service out of your dorm room?
No, I mean, sorry. She's not running a dominatrix service. She's just dominating that guy. It's consensual power play. No one's paying.
Okay.
Let's just do the thing.
You want to start or should I?
I mean, you probably don't want to hear what I have to say because you're like a senior concentrator and this is my first creative writing class.
I deserve to get feedback on my work the same way you do.
Okay, all right. Well, to be honest, I thought the sister character was kind of shallow. Like her brother gets all the airtime at family dinner.
That's realistic.
Oh, it's also fucked up.
Yeah, but that's how it happened.
Well, you shouldn't let your story be fucked up just because it's realistic.
That's one of the main roles of the writer, in my view. Reveal fucked up shit about society.
It didn't really seem like you were doing it on purpose. I mean, the sister character never really just seemed dumb and shallow the whole story long. She never really got any depth.
Okay.
Was that too harsh?
Not at all. I can totally take it.
Do you have any questions?
I think I'm good.
Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Okay.
Should we switch over or?
Are you sure? I didn't really give you that much.
I'm good.
Cool. Well, what have you got for me?
Well, this felt fresh. I haven't read a story like this before, honestly, and I read a lot. I really appreciated the way you were naming the guy's male privilege, the way he takes up space and mansplains and stuff. And I think it was cool that you included that word, mansplaining. that you had the girl call him out. I mean, woman.
Thanks.
And okay, my main reaction was, okay, so the thing that happens,
The assault.
yeah, well, that's actually what I wanted to talk about. It's kind of fuzzy what happens.
What do you mean?
Okay, well, I get that he crosses a boundary while she's beating him up. You know, I mean, he definitely is not entitled to touch her that way or do any of that to her. But kind of seems like she taunts him.
Well, I mean, she's a dom. She's trying to stay in control.
Right, okay. I guess what I mean is I didn't think it was realistic that a guy who was educated enough about his privilege to be able to name misogyny and mansplaining and stuff, you know, would let himself get so aggressive with her. You know, he even talks about the group he's in. You know, I think it's not realistic that he would like push her up against the wall and hold her down and stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, that part really stood out to me. See, I wrote, I don't believe this in the margins. Yeah, it's kind of an inconsistent character. Well, I mean, if he went there to get beat up by her, I don't know if he would order her around and just tell her to do what he says. You know, that really broke with the consistency for me. Yeah.
Okay.
And I really don't think he would take her phone and keep her from calling campus security. You know, that part's super hard to believe. Or that he would make it all about him, you know, the way that he bullies her into not reporting it because it would ruin his future. You know what I'm talking about? This part on page 5. I already got into law school. I'm about to graduate. You would be taking my future away from me. I don't know. I think he would have some more consciousness at some point, you know, especially since it seems like he's working on his shit. You know, I think you should be nicer to the character. He really comes off as an asshole, and not all men suck. Am I right? Overall, it just kind of lacked believability. You know what I mean? Are you okay?
Everything I do. The vegan working group of the Improving Campus Dining Collective, parties at my dorm, my English class. Seriously, he transferred in at the 3rd class after the ad drop period was over, like he was stalking me. But he wasn't stalking me. He didn't seem to remember me. Remember my name. For the record, I wasn't wearing a low-cut shirt. I wasn't wearing makeup. I wasn't wearing a short skirt. I was in my gym clothes, my favorite sweatpants that I never wear anymore. I was sweaty and stinky and sitting on the couch in the hockey team common room. And now I don't go back to that room. And I don't wear those pants. I keep them in my closet, though folded over on a hanger between clothes I actually do wear. Sometimes I touch them when I'm trying to reach for something else. And I notice them twisting back and forth.
Sometimes I have dreams about the room. The window blinds, the marks on the floor, the whir of the fan. I can't go in when I go home. Thank God we don't use it for anything anymore. Doesn't matter how many years go by. I shake when I walk through the doorway. And then I cry in the shower.
I noticed this guy at the library trying to look down my shirt. Then I was like, okay, guess I won't wear that shirt anymore. And then this weekend I was getting ready to go out and I didn't know what to wear. Suddenly it was like none of my shirts were safe. I tried on 5 different outfits. None of my favorite dresses are okay anymore. None of my skirts or tight jeans. Finally, I was back in my pajamas sitting on my bed. The better I look, the less safe I feel.
I went to see my TA to get help studying for my organic chemistry final. And he was definitely checking me out in a really sleazy way for the first 5 minutes. And then he kept being like, oh, you're so smart. Like he was so surprised that I'd learned a thing or two about organic chemistry. And then he was like, oh, you might be med school material. And I was like, fuck you. Guess who just finished their MCATs this weekend? And then he proceeded to talk my ear off for about 10 minutes of patronizing as fuck shit about women and people of color and how much easier it is for us to get into medical school because there's something special about us, and how much harder it would be for him as one of a billion white guys.
Well, it's only my second time. I don't know.
It can be any kind of grievance.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about how since the guy was in the men's peer education group when it happened, silence about this is just like even more disgusting. I mean, it just means that they can keep assaulting people and then going back to their group and then what? Nothing happens? So I think I want to say something. That's what I think I want now.
Okay with everyone if I break the activity? All right. If reporting it would bring you closer to closure or justice, you should absolutely report it.
Agreed. We prefer not to go to the police unless you really want to. We can report it to the school, but they don't ever really do anything.
What do you mean?
Didn't do shit for me.
Or me.
Same, unfortunately.
Mine happened before I got here, so I didn't try to report it to them. I mean, they'll refer you to counseling.
With a counselor who might not believe you.
It's not very many sessions. I found the peer support was stronger.
Why don't they do anything though?
They want everything to be black and white, clear, provable before they do anything about it.
That's pretty hard on survivors.
Also, they don't care about us.
They do. They just care more about their image. It doesn't look good for them if a student is a rapist.
Also, they're afraid of being sued because they've been sued for defamation before by a rapist.
Yeah, but don't they like? I mean, they must want us to have a good experience here, right? Like, doesn't it reflect badly on them if we drop out?
They don't care if we drop out. Remember when Jessica dropped out and we tried to use it against them? They don't actually need our tuition. If we go, it's just bought for somebody else.
Wow.
Yep.
Dang.
That's just damn.
But if reporting it would help you feel closure, we can absolutely report it.
What about direct action? Do you guys ever do that? We did that in the anti-war group, you know? We had that sit-in.
Like what Emma Solkowitz at Columbia did? How they carried around their mattress.
Men's peer education group hates it when we talk about them.
An action could definitely get us a disciplinary action.
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
But we should make sure it's worth it, that whatever we do means we get heard by whoever it is we want to hear us.
It's the school, right? We want the whole school to hear us. We want them to know that the men's peer education group are rapists.
Well, one of them. Not all.
But they all let a rape happen.
Yeah, but only one of them actually did it.
Well, then they should have educated that one guy better.
Okay, I think we can hold the perpetrator accountable without attacking the whole group. I mean, what if one of us did something and someone blamed all of us?
It would be different because we're not guys.
We know anyone can be a perpetrator.
Don't you think it's a little self-sabotaging? I mean, we're in a coalition with them. Don't you think that we should go to them directly with any issues?
I think we should focus on centering survivors' wishes.
How will this look to the admissions office? You remember how we're supposed to show them our new presentation next week? And what will they think of us if we do this?
Oh my God, why are we letting the administration dictate what we do?
I think that we should try to maintain a positive relationship, with the group that we have to work with on a regular basis.
Positive relationships overrated.
We already have shit with them. It already sucks to lead trainings with them. You know how much space they take up, and they never used to stay for cleanup.
Yeah, not naming it would be passive aggressive.
Okay, if we have shit with them and want to approach them as a separate issue from wanting to call it Leslie's rapist. Leslie, who is the target of this action? Is it the one guy? Is it the men's peer education group? Is it the whole school?
I want the administration to get the message too. I mean, they're the ones that enable this, especially if they don't do anything when you report incidents. I mean, don't you think they'd want to hear that this thing that they're funding that is supposed to be preventing sexual assault is actually allowing it? And maybe a direct action would get their attention. What if we get our parents to call in?
It didn't work for me, but we could try again.
What if we get professors on our side?
In the past, it was challenging, but we could certainly try. They've signed letters anonymously before.
There's a lot of competition for those jobs.
It seems like they don't really care about anyone. I mean, who do they have to answer to? If it's not us and it's not our parents and it's not our professors, then who do they actually have to answer to?
Applicants, prospective students. That's actually the only group they care about.
The most important thing is keeping their status competitive, their ranking high. So, of course, the only people they care about are applicants.
That's why the only time they care about us is when we're making a dumb presentation for prospective students.
Maybe it doesn't have to be dumb.
What?
I mean, presenting for prospective students. That might be the only chance we have to get the school to hear us. Maybe we have a different kind of presentation to make.
I don't think it's a problem because most of the girls ask for it.
How do they ask for it?
The way they act, the way they... I can't say the way they dress because that's their own personal choice. Some dumb hoe that you butt rock your bitches walking down the street. They're asking for it and they deny it, but it's true.
Thinking you might be smarter than a girl just because you're a guy.
Thinking you know what's best for a woman. Trying to make it seem like you're different from other men because of the clothes you wear, the food you eat, or the way you talk.
Wishing you were a woman. Not because you're transsexual or anything, because you want to be done with all the guilt and the shame. Oh, seriously, nobody's with me? Well, man, you had that dream.
We don't call others out.
Thinking girls are ugly, especially fat ones, or acne covered ones, thinking they should lose weight or learn how to apply makeup.
Thinking she's a bitch when she's on her cycle.
Not stopping when she says no. Not stopping when she says no the second time. Telling her not to report it because no one would believe her. Telling her reporting it would be taking away your future. Telling her you already got into law school.
What's going on, man?
Threatening to do something to her, she tells. Thinking you're teaching her a lesson. Thinking you're putting her in her place.
What the fuck are you doing?
Do you have something to say? Do you have something to tell us, man?
What's going on?
That's exactly what I want to ask Danny.
Is there something going on? Guys.
Is this about Jordan? Is this why he's not here?
Someone here's lying. And maybe we all are. I'm done. Y'all can decide what to do.
What the fuck, man? First Jordan, now Tyler? Tyler's my model.
I know.
If Tyler's out, I'm out.
No one's out, okay?
Sure seems like Jordan was. Sure seems like Tyler is.
He'll be back.
Is this meeting over? Because I have soccer.
Do what you gotta do.
Well, are we meeting next week?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Shit, man!
Did something happen with someone? Danny, did somebody do something?
So, start by stating your name.
Are you gonna use my real name?
I don't have to. Do you want me not to?
Yeah, I prefer if you didn't.
All right then, don't say your name, say subject number 1.
I'm your first subject?
You're the founder.
One of.
First one who came to me with this idea and set it all into motion.
I don't know if...
Don't be modest.
Let's just do the interview.
Okay, so, first of all, what would you say is the main mission of the group?
Just...
Yeah?
Where is this gonna go?
Where's what gonna go?
The paper you're writing. I mean, separate from your tenure portfolio. Where are you gonna publish it?
Oh, well, we don't know yet, but I have a feeling some of the fancier publications are going to be pretty interested. This is a pretty unique story.
There's groups like this at other schools.
Not really. Not like this.
What's unique about us?
Well, student initiated, first of all, that day you came in here and said to me,
Oh, that's going in the paper?
that's the opener.
You already wrote it?
It was a crisp September morning when I heard the knock on my door. A freshman student from my Gender, Politics, and America seminar had come to see me with a very important question. The student came from a family line traceable to the Mayflower. He had been groomed for Watson, with boarding school and tutors and private tennis lessons. His own father had endowed an athletic field. His question? How do I not become my father? This was the question that would change everything.
No way.
Yep, that's the beginning.
Wow.
I'll change your name, obviously, unless you don't want it changed.
You really think my question changed everything?
Of course I do. I know your question changed everything. Just look at all that's happened at this school because of it.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what happens when I bring up this group at conferences? When I talk about how at Watson we have a men's peer education group where students educate each other about male privilege and work with the survivor support group, you should be very proud of your work.
I am. A question, though.
Yes? Any question for you?
If the group is if let's say something happened that someone in the group messed up, would that change this? Like your paper and everything, would that change, like, would the group not count anymore?
I'm sure everyone in the group has messed up at some point. And that's why your group is so wonderful. People have it to go back to after they mess up.
Right, yeah. But
Is something wrong?
no. What if someone in the group did something really bad? Like the kind of thing we're trying to get everyone everywhere not to do anymore. What if someone in our group did that kind of thing?
Well, people mess up. You know that, right?
Yes, of course.
That was always going to be part of the deal with this group. People unlearning privilege, they mess up all the time. The media is still giving them all these messages about what it means to be a man, how to take power, dominate women, and it's hard to turn off to all that. People fall into old patterns. And the really courageous, remarkable thing about all of you is you're willing to confront that.
Right. People mess up and then they learn from it.
Exactly.
But what if it wasn't just anyone? What if it was me? I'm one of the founders, one of the leaders. What would you say if I came to you and I said, I think I might have assaulted someone?
Well, I would say, I cannot condone what happened, what's been done. But I know you. And I know you as Danny, the one who came to me the first semester of your freshman year. And that Danny is still there. That Danny is still inside you.
What would you say that person should do?
I think you should get in there and respond to the thing. Whatever happened, unpack it and figure out how it happened and how not to have it happen again. That's what this space is for. That's how this group is special.
So you don't think anyone should trip over to public safety or anything like that?
No, I don't. We need the group to continue. And you don't know what could happen after you do something like that. Your future could change a lot. Legal battles, grad school, jobs, all of that could be affected. You can't afford to sabotage your future. You're going to be a lawyer. We need you out there. Danny, you haven't created something perfect, but you've created something powerful. Just wait till you read my article. I think you'll feel proud.
That girl thinks she's the queen of the neighborhood. She got the hottest track in town. That girl, she holds her head up so high. I think I wanna be a best friend girl. Rebel girl, rebel girl, rebel girl, you are the queen of my world. Rebel girl, rebel girl. I think I wanna take you home. I wanna say I'm your girlfriend. When she walks, the revolution's coming in her hips. That revolution. When she talks, I hear the revolution.
Oh God. I was so worried you wouldn't come. Thanks so much for meeting. I know it's kind of weird. I love your music more than anything else. That's what prompted this. I mean, your last piece at the open mic about the stain on the wall is also the last piece on your album. Just beautiful.
Cool.
Oh, and the part about if the stain could move, if the stain could cry, but it's stuck there. That was just beautiful. As a poet, I'm inspired by your art.
Neat.
Are you like annoyed?
What?
Oh, you just sound annoyed. I'm trying to talk to you about your music and you only have one word responses.
What do you want, an essay?
I just thought artist to artist might be able to.
Right. You're not exactly my audience.
What do you mean? I am your audience. I love your music.
Oh my God. You know why I did not write that song? So that guys could tell me that my song about survivorhood was beautiful.
It was, though.
If I could make my shows a women's only space, I would.
I mean, I didn't know it was about survivorhood.
Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about, not the audience.
I didn't. I mean, it makes so much sense, though, because so many of your other songs directly reference assault. I mean, your whole album does. Man, it's so good for me to be able to talk to you and learn more about the woman behind the work. The survivor behind the work. Did I say something wrong?
That song is not for you. I'm not some perfect, pretty survivor making nice music so that you can think rape isn't actually that bad. I'm gonna be messy and ugly and call out every fucking man who was complicit in our rape culture.
Oh, thanks for sharing that with me.
No problem.
I did think the song was messy. That's what I liked about it. I'm not a survivor, but my aunt is. Got raped in a detention center. Took so much time and money to get her out, and it's only after that she told us about all the abuse. They made her sign something stating that the rape was consensual, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. She got harassed nonstop. Anyway, she's a big reason why I joined the men's peer education group. Really important space for me. I showed her your music, your whole album, actually. She loved it. She actually asked if I could get your autograph. That's a big reason why I kept pushing you to meet.
Jeez, I'm sorry I was so flaky. I mean, I can autograph. I'm not famous or anything.
It would make her really happy.
Okay. I'll write her a little note. What's her name?
Cynthia. Or you can say Cindy.
Cindy.
She's gonna be so happy. And her birthday's next week.
Did anything ever happen for her? Like, did the detention center ever admit she was raped?
Oh, no way. They can't admit that rape happened there. They'd get in too much trouble.
Right. Kind of like here.
Yeah. Kind of like here.
Can I ask you something about the group? Do you think you've like gotten anything out of it?
You can. Men's peer education group saved my life. I don't know who I'd be without it. But you want to know something I've been thinking? We didn't go far enough. Our group it wasn't enough. There was so much more we could have done, so much more we could have asked of ourselves, of each other. I think that's why we fell apart in the end. We didn't go far enough. I am thinking of starting a new group. I got some ideas.
This is James Watson, founder of our college, military man, grew up fighting in the Union Army, Battle of Gettysburg. A courageous fellow, he stayed in the fight even when it wasn't easy. He wrote letters home to his dear wife, Mary, about how much he dreamed of founding a school for her to teach in. She was a history teacher who taught in one-room schoolhouses full of illiterate children covered by snow. Her dream was to start a college where the children could learn in peace, unhampered by the difficulties of rural life. And so, James suffered through the long war. And all the while, he wrote letters home to Mary. And when he finally got home, he used everything he had to found a college for her to teach in, right here. I'm sure it's clear to you that this is no ordinary school. This is a place where people take action. This is a place where dreams are realized, just as James Watson realized Mary's dream. This is a place where the impossible becomes possible. Now, as part of your information session today, you'll be hearing from a graduating student and a member of our Student Coalition to Prevent Sexual Assault, just one of the ways that Watson is special.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Danny, and I'm pleased to be here to representing the most phenomenal institution on the planet, and quite honestly, the best 4 years of my life. An education that set me up to realize my dream, to become a lawyer. What I'm here to talk about today is consent on our campus.
Rape happens here. Rape happens here. Students, if we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties on our end, Danny, if you would please continue. Rape happens here. 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 Rape happens here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We invite you all to tap out with us after engaging in the heavy material of our show. This exercise was brought to us by Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. We're going to try a quick breathing exercise. Please note that breathing exercises may be triggering for some, so only participate if you find this will help to relax you. You can place your hands on your chest and stomach so you can feel your breath moving in and out of your body. We're going to take a deep breath in on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now everyone release that breath on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do that one more time. Take a deep breath in on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And everyone release that breath on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now a quick stretch so everyone can reach up to the sky. Give yourself a hug. And bring your hands to your heart. Thank you all so much for coming. Please take care of yourselves.